I didn't go looking for proof. That's the thing that still gets me. I wasn't digging through her phone, or following her car, or acting paranoid. I wasn't that guy. Not yet, anyway. It just fell in my lap. It was a Wednesday morning, gray, muggy, and already feeling like the kind of day where you spill coffee on your shirt and curse traffic twice. Lily was flying out for a business conference in San Diego. She'd been buzzing about it all week, running through presentation drafts, color-coded spreadsheets, last-minute outfit swaps. I swear she tried on 3 different blazers Monday night and left a trail of statement earrings on the bathroom counter like breadcrumbs. I'd made her a quick breakfast, oatmeal, banana, cinnamon, the usual, just to be supportive. She barely touched it, said she was too wired to eat. By the time she was halfway out the door, her suitcase bumping into walls and her flats slapping against tile, I was already in the kitchen cleaning up. That's when I heard the pivot, her footsteps doubling back down the hall. She popped in, eyes scanning the room like she'd lost something. "Charger," she muttered, more to herself than to me, rummaging through the drawer next to the fridge. "Found it." She was gone again before I could say anything, and that's when I saw it. Her phone. She'd left it on the kitchen counter, right next to the fruit bowl. Face up, locked, but the screen was still lit from a fresh notification. Normally, I would have just set it aside and moved on. But this time, something about it pulled me in. It wasn't a message from me, or from work. It was a geotag notification, one of those passive check-ins from a photo app. The kind that says, "Hey, look where we are." Except it hadn't come from Lily's account. It had come from Tyler. Tyler, her assistant. The guy she hired 6 months ago after some networking mixer she came home raving about. Sharp, reliable, super organized, she'd said. Exactly what I need. I'd only met him once, at a holiday work party, and I remember thinking he looked too smooth to be an assistant. Expensive haircut, unnecessary cufflinks, that kind of guy. Anyway, the notification read, "Round pushpin checked in at Oceanfront Bistro, Santa Monica, California. Photos added to trip folder. Conference week." I blinked. It was time-stamped at 8:12 a.m. We lived an hour from Santa Monica, and Lily had supposedly left for San Diego. This place was in the opposite direction entirely. I tapped the screen. No passcode needed. Just a preview photo, probably because it was part of a shared album. And there it was, a well-lit bistro table set for 2. Wine glasses, fresh seafood, ocean waves in the background. There were even string lights overhead, the kind they hang up to make everything feel romantic without trying too hard. My pulse started tapping against my collarbone. I told myself it was nothing, a mistake, some scheduled post that went out too late or too early. Maybe she had been there, just not this morning. Maybe she stopped on the way to the conference, but that wouldn't explain the receipt. I noticed her tote bag slumped by the back door. It had fallen over, part of it hanging out like it had been hastily zipped. Something white was sticking out, a triangle of folded paper. For some reason, I reached for it, and that's when I really knew something was off. It was a receipt. Oceanfront Bistro, Santa Monica. Dated the night before. 2 entrees, 1 appetizer, an expensive bottle of Silver Oak Cabernet. Total, $268.49. Not exactly a meal you have when you're rehearsing slide decks, like she told me she'd be doing. I just stood there, holding it between my fingers like it might burst into flames. I didn't hear the front door open, didn't even realize she'd come back in. "Forgot my scarf," she said quickly, voice high and cheerful. Her eyes scanned the room again, until they locked on the tote bag. Then her entire expression changed. She didn't say anything at first, just moved quickly, snatched the bag off the floor, zipped it up, and slung it over her shoulder like it was a reflex. But I saw the glance. Her eyes flicked to the receipt still in my hand, and then, just as quickly, back to my face. "Oh," she said, chuckling nervously. That was just a team dinner before the flight. You know how it is. Tyler made the reservation. We were all wiped from prep, so we grabbed food at that place near the beach." Her voice was smooth, practiced, Not nervous exactly, just calculated. I didn't interrupt. I didn't question it. I just nodded slowly. And that geotag from this morning? I asked, keeping my tone light. She waved a hand like it was nothing. Oh my God. Don't even get me started. Tyler has this app that schedules posts ahead of time. It's so annoying. I told him not to use it when we're traveling. It always sends stuff at the wrong time. He probably cued that yesterday. I nodded again. Same slow rhythm. Like I was buying it. Like I was just some clueless husband who took things at face value. But inside, my mind was writing in all caps. None of it added up. Not the wine. Lily always claimed wine gave her headaches. Not the time, 8:12 a.m. Wasn't a mistake, it was this morning. And not the body language. People don't flinch like that over a receipt unless they know it says something they wish it didn't. Still, I didn't push. I didn't accuse. I just smiled. Got it. Makes sense. She gave me a kiss on the cheek. Quick, distracted, and said she'd text me when she landed. Then she was gone again. This time for real. And I just stood there. Phone still on the counter. Screen dim now. Receipt burning a hole in my hand. That's the moment I started keeping track. I didn't confront her. Didn't spiral. I just paid attention. Noted the details. Created mental folders. The inconsistencies. The wine. The timing. The ease with which she deflected. I didn't need to be a detective. I just needed to stop assuming the best. Because trust, real trust, is not just about honesty. It's about noticing when someone lies with a smile. Started small. It always does. A few days after the Santa Monica team dinner, Lily came home wearing a new perfume. I noticed it before she even closed the door. Something spicy, darker, more assertive. It wasn't the floral stuff she used to wear. This had weight to it. Warm notes of amber, maybe something smoky underneath. Not a scent you pick on a whim. Not one you wear for boardrooms. New? I asked, leaning in slightly as she brushed past me. She paused for half a second. Oh yeah, she said. Sample from work. I think it's called Noir Garden or something dramatic like that. I nodded. Didn't press. Just logged it. After that, her phone started staying face down more often. Not just at dinner or on the nightstand, but all the time, on the coffee table, in the kitchen, even during movie nights. Before, it would buzz and she'd glance at it like anyone else. Now, it would buzz and she'd swipe it off the table with her thumb like it was some hot coal she had to hide. I asked her once, playfully, "You joining the CIA?" She laughed. "God, you're so paranoid," she said. But her smile didn't reach her eyes. It wasn't paranoia. Not anymore. The next change was the showers. She started taking them immediately after getting home. Like, coat barely off, keys in hand, straight to the master bathroom. She said it helped her reset her brain after long days at work. Said it was about unwinding, mentally rinsing off the stress. But I wasn't blind. I'd walk into the bathroom after her and see the water still beating on the glass. The scent of her new perfume somehow stronger post-shower, not weaker. And the blouse. It showed up one morning when she came downstairs late for work, half-dressed, eating dry toast with one hand while brushing her hair with the other. She wore a deep blue silk blouse, smooth, buttoned up to the collar. It had no tag. None. Not even the ghost of a stitch where one had been. I asked where she got it. She blinked, mid-bite. "What, this? It's old," she said. "Had it for years." I didn't argue. But I'd been doing laundry in that house for 7 years, and I had never once seen that blouse. Not in a pile, not on a hanger, not folded, not drying over the back of a chair. Next came the chat threads, or the lack of them. I noticed one evening when I walked past her in the living room. She was scrolling through her messages, then suddenly tapped the top corner, selected Archived, and in a flash, the screen went blank. Completely clean chat history. Cleaning house. I asked casually. She minimized the screen. Just tidying up. Some old group chats from college were clogging things up. I smiled. Said nothing. But the same chill crept up my spine. Because she never tidied up anything. She still had receipts from 2016 in her glove box. But now she was scrubbing conversations in real time. That week, I checked her shared calendar. We used to sync things, grocery runs, vet appointments, the occasional birthday reminder. I hadn't looked in months. She had new entries. Late-night office meetings. Always vague. Always labeled with a generic title like Team Sync or Client Prep. But there were no invites, no location markers, no call links. Just lone entries, dropped in late and never mentioned in person. She never invited me to those, never brought them up again. When I asked if she wanted dinner during one of those meetings, she replied instantly, "Can't. I'll be at the office till late." But the sink told a different story. Wine glasses, 2 of them. I found them rinsed, stem down, on the drying rack the next morning. Not dusty, recently used. Problem is, Lily always said wine gave her migraines. She joked that she couldn't even smell Merlot without her temples pulsing. I tested that once. Opened a bottle after dinner. She waved her hand. "Ugh, you trying to knock me out?" But now, on her late nights, there were always 2 glasses. One still damp with a lipstick smudge I didn't recognize. One night I checked the garage. Her car was cleaner than I'd ever seen it. Not washed at home clean, professionally done. The air freshener was new too. Some mint eucalyptus scent she'd never used before. So I looked at our bank statements. I had never really scrutinized them before. Just glanced every couple of weeks to make sure we weren't bleeding money. But this time I combed through line by line. There it was. A car wash on the coastal route. A toll pass on the PCH. A gas station nowhere near her office. All on the same day she told me she was working from her company's downtown headquarters. I stared at the screen for a long time. The charges weren't huge. Couple bucks here, 10 there. But they formed a map. Pattern. She wasn't just working late. She was driving somewhere. I opened her email expense reports next. She'd forwarded a few in the past for our records. Mostly hotel bookings, flight confirmations, the kind of boring adulting stuff you file and forget. But one of the PDFs caught my eye. Hotel Folio. 4 Seasons. Marina del Rey. It listed 2 breakfasts. One of them vegetarian. And a late checkout. She never ordered room service, let alone breakfast. She claimed she couldn't eat in the morning. Said it made her nauseous. Even on vacation, she skipped the omelets and stuck with black coffee. Yet here was a hotel receipt. From a day she told me she was homesick. 2 entrees, 2 coffees, 1 room. And yet, she came home that night like nothing had happened. Said her fever had broken. Kissed me on the cheek. Collapsed into bed and asked if I could grab her some ginger tea. Piece by piece, it all started to slide into place. The geotag, the wine, the blouse with no tag, the perfume that clung to her after a shower, the fake meetings, the coastal tolls, the second breakfast. She wasn't slipping. She was choreographing. And I was the only one still pretending we were dancing together. It's strange how clarity can feel like both a gift and a punch to the chest. By the time I reached out to my cousin Ben, I already knew what Lily was doing. I didn't need footage or timestamps to confirm it. I wasn't looking for a maybe. I just wanted the kind of evidence you can't talk your way out of. The kind that doesn't blink when confronted. Ben used to work in private security. Now he mostly consults high-end stuff, non-disclosure agreements, and clients who use fake names. But when I called him and told him I needed a favor, he didn't ask a lot of questions. "I'll set it up," he said. "Just say the word." The word was Tuesday. That was the day Lily told me she'd be flying to L.A. to give a keynote presentation for a new product rollout. She even showed me the mock slide deck she was fine-tuning, though something about it had felt weirdly polished already, like she wasn't tweaking anything at all. "Wish me luck," she said that morning, all smiles, brushing lint off her blazer like she was about to step onto a TED Talk stage. She gave me a quick hug and a kiss that missed my mouth. "Good luck," I replied, and meant none of it. Ben and I had been tracking her phone location for a few days already. Discreet, encrypted, not something you'd find on a screen unless you knew exactly where to look. I hadn't told Ben everything, just enough to justify the request. He didn't press. He'd seen worse. When her plane was supposedly boarding for LAX, her phone never even approached the airport. Instead, it drifted west, a quiet little detour along Highway 1. No airport parking, no TSA, no boarding gate. By 11:42 a.m., her location pinned itself to a boutique hotel in Carmel by the Sea. I stared at the map, blinking. Carmel wasn't anywhere near L.A. It wasn't even close. Ben texted, "You want eyes?" I replied, yes, discreet. He had a contact in the area. Retired law enforcement, ran a side gig doing low-profile surveillance for civil matters. Divorces, custody disputes. The guy knew how to sit in a parking lot and become invisible. At 12:10 p.m., I got the first photo. It was Tyler, not on a work call, not hauling a suitcase of presentation materials, just strolling up the hotel walkway like it was his weekend retreat. Wearing sunglasses, casual button-down, no lanyard, no laptop bag. His whole body language screamed familiarity. He paused at the entrance, checked his phone. Then Lily walked out of the lobby. She didn't see the camera. She saw him, and she smiled in a way I hadn't seen in years. Not the quick, tight-lipped smile she gave me when I asked if she wanted Thai or Italian. This was different, open, effortless. A smile with history behind it. She reached him. No hesitation. They kissed. Not a dramatic one. Not some passionate movie scene. Just a quiet, practiced kiss. Like it was part of their routine. Like they'd done it before. Many times. The camera caught every frame. Tyler reached for her overnight bag. The same one I had given her last year for our anniversary. The same one she insisted she only used for client offsites. He slung it over his shoulder like it was already his. They walked inside together. Ben didn't send another text for an hour. When he did, it was a copy of the guest check-in log. Fake names, but one line matched Lily's alias from a previous hotel receipt I'd seen. Allison Grant. Room 202. Single king bed. Late checkout. The hotel folio arrived in my inbox at 4:47 p.m. It was polite, professional. Itemized. Room service breakfast. 2 entrees. Sparkling water. 2x. Fruit plate. Shared. Checkout. 1:45 p.m. I stared at the screen until the lines blurred. So much effort. So much planning. Just to lie. This wasn't an accident. Wasn't some heat-of-the-moment mistake or an affair born from drunken impulse. It was coordinated. Efficient. Routine. And I wasn't even angry. That surprised me. There was just a hollow quiet in my chest. A silence where anger should have been. I felt like I was sitting in a room where the air had been slowly ket out for months, and I had finally stopped pretending to breathe. That evening, she called. "Flight delay," she said, sounding exhausted. "I might not be back till late. You okay if I just Uber home?" I stared at the wall while she spoke. "Sure," I said. "No problem. Want me to leave the porch light on?" "No, I've got my key. Love you." I paused just long enough to wonder if she'd notice. "Love you too." I ended the call and sat there in the dark. For the next hour, I opened every file. Every *T. Every toll charge. Every folio. I organized it all into folders by date, by location, by expense. I created backups and uploaded them to an encrypted drive. Not to confront her. Not yet. But because I wanted to remember. To remember what truth looked like. Not what I was told to believe. The last thing I saved was the photo of the kiss. That small, subtle kiss in front of the boutique hotel. Not passionate. Not reckless. Just comfortable. Like home. Except it wasn't me on the other end. I didn't blow up. Didn't scream. Didn't rage through the house. Demanding explanations or apologies, she'd only twist into knots. I'd already seen everything I needed to see. There's a moment right after betrayal hardens into certainty, when all the noise cuts out. That's where I was. Not hurt, not vengeful. Just still. I wasn't a husband anymore. I was a man planning his exit. So I made a list. I've always been a list person. That's how I manage work, errands, life in general. This time it was different. The list was cold, calculated, efficient. First, pack. Not everything, just what I needed. Clothes, laptop, documents. I didn't want to storm out in anger. I wanted to leave with precision. I pulled out a carry-on bag, not too large, and filled it with only what mattered. A few button-downs, running shoes, my passport, birth certificate, social security card, USB drives. Nothing sentimental, nothing breakable. Second, money. Our prenup had clauses, smart ones. If one party breached the marriage by way of infidelity, the other could move financial assets into a personal account as protection, pending divorce. Lily and I had agreed to that early on, back when love made us pragmatic. I never thought I'd use it. That night I did. I transferred 60% of our joint savings into a new personal account I had opened 3 days earlier. Left her access to the rest. It was clean, legal, and entirely within my rights. I also froze our shared credit cards and canceled the automatic payments linked to my name. She could still use her own cards. I wasn't trying to leave her stranded, just separate. Third, records. I downloaded everything: hotel folios, toll road logs, expense reports, text backups, phone logs, timestamps from Tyler's geotags, receipts with 2 entrees, photo evidence from Carmel by the Sea. I created a digital folder labeled "For Attorney" and uploaded a mirrored copy to a private drive. No emotion, just documentation. Fourth, housing. I didn't want to stay in the house a second longer than I had to. It didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like a performance space, like I was an actor in a play everyone else had stopped watching. So I found a short-term apartment rental near my office. Month-to-month lease, fully furnished, neutral colors, blank walls, a place to catch my breath. Fifth, the dog. Our golden retriever, Daisy, always waited for me by the door, tail wagging, eyes wide, tongue lolling like she didn't know or care about the cracks forming around her. I hated the idea of leaving her behind, but Lily had always called her our baby. I figured she'd fight for Daisy if I tried to take her, so I made arrangements with the neighbors. Tom and Alicia, retired couple, loved Daisy like their own. I knocked on their door that morning just after sunrise. She might need a place for a while, I told them. Lily and I, things are changing. They didn't ask questions, just nodded and gave me a long, quiet look that said they understood more than they were letting on. Sixth, mail and accounts. I rerouted all my important mail to a private P.O. box. Changed the passwords to everything with my name on it: bank accounts, cloud storage, phone plan. I set up 2-factor authentication and logged out of every device that wasn't mine. Clean slate. Seventh, the ring. I placed it on the nightstand, next to the lamp she always left on at night. Felt strange letting it go. That tiny band of metal had meant something once. It had been a promise, a circle with no end, all those poetic things people say at weddings. Now it was just a prop, an empty symbol in a play I wasn't performing in anymore. Eighth, the message. There wasn't one. No note, no dramatic letter, no bullet points or passive-aggressive final thoughts. I wasn't going to explain my silence to someone who had already rewritten the script behind my back. I didn't want to hear, "It's not what it looks like," or "You misunderstood." There was no misunderstanding left. That evening, I waited for her to come home. Not in the living room, not by the door. I sat at the kitchen table, quietly, lights low, just listening to the clock tick. When I heard her key in the door, my pulse didn't change. She walked in like always. Heels on hardwood, perfume lingering behind her, tote bag slung over her shoulder like a costume she forgot to change out of. She glanced around and paused. Something in the air had shifted. "Miles?" she called. I didn't respond. She stepped further in. "You home?" Her voice was too bright, like she was selling the scene to herself more than to me. I waited. Eventually, she found the bedroom. The door was cracked. She opened it and saw the ring. She didn't cry out, didn't collapse. At least not that I heard. Just silence. I slipped out through the garage, bag in hand. I'd already parked my car on the street earlier, so she wouldn't hear it start. I didn't look back. Not once. Lily didn't fall apart right away. At first, she acted like she was still in control. That was her instinct: contain the story, protect the image. I'd lived with it for years. The calm voice in a crisis. The confident email signature. The tidy explanations. But the thing about a house of cards is, you never see the last breeze coming. She texted me that night. Lily, hey, I saw the ring. What is this? Lily, can we talk? I don't understand what's going on. Lily, Miles? I didn't respond. The next morning, she called twice. I let both go to voicemail. She tried again at noon, then once more around 4 p.m. Then the texts picked up. Lily, if this is about the conference trip, we can talk. Lily, I think you misunderstood something. Lily, please, I don't want to fight. I love you. Still, I said nothing. And silence, as it turns out, speaks louder than confrontation ever could. By the end of that week, HR had contacted her. Apparently, someone from compliance requested confirmation of her attendance at the Los Angeles product rollout. Lily's name hadn't appeared anywhere on the official registration list. No flight itinerary, no badge pickup, nothing. When they asked for receipts or presentation slides, she scrambled. She tried to forward a half-finished deck and claimed she'd presented informally during a breakout session. But the organizers had no record of her attending, let alone speaking. Ben had warned me. When people lie that cleanly, they don't just lie to you. They lie to systems. Soon after, Tyler resigned. Quietly. No memo. Just a vague, moving on to new opportunities announcement that showed up in the company Slack one afternoon. But the real story leaked within days. Tyler's wife had filed a formal complaint against Lily with corporate legal. Apparently, she'd found messages, credit card charges, a second phone. Tyler's departure triggered a review of recent expense reports. And that's when the company started reversing charges. Wine bars, hotel stays, tolls, all flagged. Lily was suspended pending the audit. Her keycard was deactivated. I heard about it through a friend of mine, former colleague of hers. He called me hesitating. You didn't hear this from me, he said. But she's in trouble. Big trouble. I just said, yeah, I know. From the outside, it probably looked like she was holding it together. Still wore the same heels. Still posted polished throwback pics on Instagram. But things started disappearing. First, her friends. Mutual couples stopped inviting her to things. Brunches, barbecues, birthdays. People who once fawned over her style and presence now ghosted her group chats. Some blocked her outright. Turns out nobody wants to choose sides, but they still always do. Then her finances. Rent increased after I moved out. She couldn't cover the mortgage alone for long. I kept my name on the house for leverage, but I didn't want it back. I gave her 60 days to refinance or sell. She didn't. After the deadline passed, I filed for ownership transfer through my lawyer. She never contested it. By then, she was already selling furniture online: couch, desk, chairs. Even the record player we bought together in Portland. Gone. Posted under a fake username on local resale apps. I still saw the listings. She also let go of Daisy. That one hit harder than I expected. I got a text from Alicia next door. Alicia, just a heads up. Lily dropped off Daisy this morning. Said it was temporary. But she had tears in her eyes. I think it's permanent. Daisy had her nose pressed to the fence when I came to visit. She didn't understand why our walk stopped, why I vanished. I promised her I'd come back when the dust settled. Lily didn't text me about the dog. Not a word. By then, her messages had changed. The early ones were full of certainty, like she was in control of the narrative, and this was just a misunderstanding to clear up. Lily, I don't know what you think you saw. Lily, Tyler and I. It wasn't serious. Lily, we were just stressed. It got confused. Then came the justifications. Lily, you were so distant for months, Miles. Lily, I didn't know how to talk to you anymore. Lily, we weren't even close. Then the apologies. Lily, I'm sorry. Lily, I made a mistake. Lily, please don't give up on us. Lily, please. I didn't answer. Not once. Eventually, she stopped texting. Or maybe she didn't. Maybe I just stopped reading. When my attorney finally served the divorce papers, she didn't contest. No counterclaims. No drawn-out discovery. Not even a mediation attempt. Just a single signed document sent back in a manila envelope. No return address. Inside was a post-it note. Her handwriting a little shaky. "I'm sorry I ruined everything. I wish I could go back to the day I left my phone on the counter." That was the moment I realized something. She didn't regret the affair. She regretted the geotag. Not the lie. Not the nights away. Not the betrayal. Just the fact that she got caught. And I was done pretending that kind of sorrow meant anything. I moved on quietly. Therapy, a new job, blues guitar at night. The folder of proof stayed closed. Then came irony. A consulting firm offered me a role in internal fraud prevention. Said I had an eye for inconsistencies. Pain became purpose. Lily sent a letter, no excuses, just regret. I didn't reply. Her downfall started with one accidental geotag. Mine began with finally trusting my instincts. At my daughter's high school graduation, I sat beside Kate, my wife now. Lily stood across the aisle, smaller, faded. No ring, no smile. Her phone stayed off, clutched tightly. Our eyes met, hers full of sorrow, mine calm. I turned to cheer for my daughter, the only future that mattered. Lily was a chapter one survived, not one I missed. Closure didn't come from confrontation. It came from building a better life.